Republicans say they are afraid of at least one of the two major candidates for president winning the White House. 3/4 of all voters surveyed say that their pick for president is motivated more by a desire to cast their ballot against Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. So instead of voting for somebody, it's really about voting for the other person. This morning, we want to help you weigh your options. There are other people in the race. Technically speaking, Dr. Swigger from OSU Newark is here to talk about a couple of the third-party candidates. So good morning. We always appreciate you being here.
Always happy to stop by.
Shed a little insight. We watched this kind of crazy show between the two main presumptive Democratic and Republican nominees. But who are some of the third-party candidates that actually, at least on social media, have been getting, at least it seems, a little bit of traction?
Yeah, we're starting to see a lot of traction for Jill Stein of the Green Party, especially for Gary Johnson, Libertarian candidate. Johnson is actually the one person in the race who has the most executive experience. He's a two-term governor of New Mexico. He's a former Republican. He actually ran as the Libertarian candidate in 2012 as well.
So he's already been somewhat familiar to folks leaning libertarian. But now, this time around, I mean, what kind of effect are the libertarians of the Green Party going to have on the election?
Well, that's a great question, and the answer is I'm not quite sure. So it's a weird election because you have two candidates who, at this point, have universal name recognition, and they're both incredibly unpopular. You know, Donald Trump is the most unpopular major party candidate that we've ever seen, in fact. So you have a lot of dissatisfied voters. You have a lot of voters who want to reject running parties. So I think that's what you're seeing right now in some of the polling, and especially in some of the social media stuff. Johnson and the Libertarians and Jill Stein and the Green Party are very much a protest vehicle right now. Now, the catch is that may not last very long. So just because a voter doesn't like Donald Trump and doesn't like Hillary Clinton, that doesn't necessarily mean the voter is indifferent between those two people. And in fact, you know, they are very, very different candidates, so it would be hard to be indifferent between them. If I'm a voter in July and I don't like either candidate, it costs me nothing to tell a pollster that I support the Libertarians or I support the Greens.
So still too far out then.
Yeah, exactly. As we get closer to Election Day, and as people start thinking about the consequences of their vote, especially if you have a close election, voters may just gravitate back to the lesser of two evils, basically, because they want their vote to count. You don't just want to cast it away on something that isn't going to matter.
Right. Well, because I've been thinking a lot, too, about the election in which Ross Perot became like what many people thought was an actual viable third-party candidate. A lot of people looking for that option. Many said, though, that he ended up pulling away votes from the Republican Party. Now, this time around, do you think maybe a third-party vote could go either way?
Very much so. Actually, the extent to which Perot pulled away from the Republicans is always a little bit overstated. If you look back on it, if you look at people's second choice, Perot voters were just as likely to list Bill Clinton as they were to list George Bush. Now, in this year's election, if you compare polls, and pollsters vary on whether or not they actually include third parties, which is aggravating. But
Many don't.
Right. A lot of them will just give two choices. But if you look at it, it appears that included third parties drags down support for both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, but it's a little bit more of a drag on Clinton at this point. So she still ends up in the lead, but her lead shrinks by a point or two, depending on what the survey is.
But what about the viability of some sort of miracle pull-through by a third-party candidate? Is this year that's possible, or do you think this might at least set things up for further down the road?
Well, they're not going to. The Green Party is too liberal, and frankly, the Libertarian Party is too weird. So they're never going to be able to gather the support to win. But if one of them, and you know, Johnson is polling fairly high right now, if he gets up to the point where he could be included in the debates, that could draw a lot of attention to the Libertarian Party. And Libertarians in particular would be poised then, once they get some media attention, maybe start to build up some momentum to actually
future elections.
In future elections, yes, absolutely.
Leave it there. Unfortunately, we're short on time. Thank you very much for your insight. We always appreciate it.
Yeah.
And make sure you stay with us here on Good Day Columbus at 8:16. Meteorologist Marshall on the big track and some storms for you this morning. We'll come back. I'll let you know when you can expect to see some rain in your hour-by-hour forecast. It's right after the rain.
On the next Two Broke Girls.
You must be on your